Hello and welcome. We are Bridge the Gap and this is Bridge the Gap podcast. My name's Andrew. We've got Jared and Mitch here and we started Bridge the Gap almost a year ago now. We've been doing so many things behind the scenes that we are super excited to share, and this is the very beginning. So we're so happy that you've come, you've listened to us, and we are pumped for the year ahead and what's next. So let's kick it off. Where did it start for us? We really want to give you guys an idea of where we came from, why we built this business, what we're about, who we're here to serve, what 2020 is going to bring for us, what Beyond is going to bring for us, and what we can bring for you guys as listeners. So let's start from the beginning.
Let's take it back to...
Brick Brown.
Yeah, BB is actually what it was before Andrew came onto the scene. So myself and Jared at the back end of, would have been 2018. I remember meeting up at Bellyfish.
Yeah, and this is after Brids was actually just got into health and fitness. Yeah. Was actually a trainer at my gym, and Brids ended up opening up his business, and we always had that connection, but Brids just had a different style of training, so he fulfilled that. But I knew that there was a missing link there, and we sort of re-engaged with each other and met up at Bellyfish, the one and only Bellyfish down in Terrigal. Huge shout out to them. And we met up, and it was more just, we weren't catching up to talk about a business model. We were just catching up to catch up.
Yeah, no, and it ended up getting onto this idea of this, like you said, that missing link of men's mental health on the coast. And I guess we knew... Everywhere. Yeah, and everywhere, 100%. And we knew we could bring something to the table there, correlating both training and the mindset side of things. So we decided to run first camp, would have been January 2019. So
pretty much straight off the bat in January.
Yeah. It's fucking awesome. It was so good. So good. Just getting guys around each other, one in the training environment and giving our knowledge where we could, and guys bouncing off each other. But it was what we found. It was those sit down chats at the end where guys were opening up. They're talking about things that, you know, they had said to us that they didn't feel comfortable speaking to even, you know, their family about it. So for us to provide a sort of space that they could come into, feel comfortable, get stuff off their chest and walk out a little bit lighter, a little bit of weight off their shoulders. It was fucking...
I feel like the one point, there was many points. There was that, I'm fucking unstoppable. Yeah. That was epic, but probably the one where we called each other and you were off to, I think you were going to the pub for a birthday, and I was driving home, and we were like, bro, like I've like, this is a highlight of my life. Like, and that was the point where we ran that like that open up session, and boys were open up. And boys, we ended up sitting back and standing back, and we actually looked on, and boys were talking to boys they've never met before about things they were overcoming. Yeah, exactly. And that's where
that's where we understood the real power
100%.
Of unity in that sort of scene.
And then it sort of went from, I went to Guzman's for lunch, and Cooney was actually in the process with a mate who was helping him. Cooney was in the process of moving houses or apartments, and had worked with Cooney previously for the gym years ago, and started talking, and I feel like we just asked what we're up to or what we're doing, and the discussion of BB came up. Yep. And then I think the discussion of me just following up saying like, come, or let's have a bit more of a chat, and then we started talking a little bit more.
And Jared's on my back going.
I remember going to Brids, I was like, after a few times, I was like, man, he's so aligned. I was like, and Brids has never met Cooney before.
Who's this bloody guy?
I'm just trying to think, because I went away, I think I'd just come back. This was February. So I was just about to go, was it 2019? No, this was the year before. I feel like I'd just been somewhere and I just had this crazy life lesson. And I'm all about personal development, something I focus on a lot, but I think I was in the process of really hating what I was doing and seeing an opportunity somewhere else where I could help people. I was trying to work out, okay, where do I want to play? Because obviously I know my field, I know photography, you guys know the fitness industry, and I'm kind of just like, what what's next for me? And I think that conversation, and it's so funny, we've had so many conversations, mostly at Bellyfish, where it's just like, fuck, that conversation was like meant to happen. Yeah. Like with Sam, and then with the guys the other day, and Luke King the other day, who we had a chat with. He's going to come on the podcast. Hopefully a bit later in the year. It's a place, but this was a Guzman, and I feel like walking away from that, like my brain was definitely ticking. And then after that, I mean, yeah, you guys reached out, we got together. I had no idea what BB was. I had no idea what was going to be in place, because I've had a business in photography and video for the past 5 years, and that's all I've ever known. Like for the past 10 years, would be what I've been doing, and I'm kind of just like, man, this is something exciting. I'm just like, and then we sat down at Guzman's again, and that was where I met Mitch for the first time. Had no idea. I actually thought Mitch was Dicko.
And then
shout out Dicko. And then I'll take that.
I remember. That's who I'm coming to. I remember sitting down with Bridge, and I was like, man, we all have our strengths, right? And where me and you can completely agree, where the business has got to now has been heavily on the back of Cooney's expertise. 100%. And we all have our strengths, and each of our strengths will come evolving when it comes to public speaking, when it comes to results and performance and programming and community and yourself. So where we've got to the point now has been all of us liaising with each other, a lot of Cooney's professionalism and amazing creativity. But I was like, man, and this isn't in any regard meant that this is a net worth based program. This is not at all. But I was like, I would rather 33% of a company, I think this is the conversation we had, 33% of a company that makes $1 million than 50% of a company that makes a couple of thousand.
Yeah, and doesn't reach anywhere near as many people. That's what it's all about.
And then we sat down at Ocean House and we brought it up with you.
Yeah,
and
well,
then from there we went, and then it just started. Like we had one catch up when Cooney was like, you were cooking us up some nice vegan tofu dish at his place.
I had already eaten, because I didn't get the bloody memo that we were actually going to have dinner.
And then we went away.
Meat dish was better.
Which we went away for the weekend, which we have some clips from, which we'll launch in our first vlog. And we went away for the weekend. And I think what happened was we saw the potential, and we saw puzzle all these pieces together. And then we quickly realized, talking to people, and one of those conversations been bumping into Sam, meeting Sam, which has been huge for us, and Sam has helped us out massively, and she's going to be helping us hugely this year in the growth stage. But I think as we spoke to people, they're like, we've got your back here, we're on board with you. And then we started to realize, like, this is bigger than you think. Like, this is a movement.
Well, it went because it started BB. You got 12 dudes in a 6-week camp once a week, coming training and then talking about their stuff. Then it moved into, okay, I was really studying ClickFunnels quite heavily. That's something I was going to bring into my business. And then we're like, okay, maybe we can go online. Maybe we can reach more people by going online. And then it's kind of like, well, hang on, like, look at how many dudes there are. If we can bring in a group of good dudes who don't know who each other are and get them opening up, imagine if we filled the room with 500, 1,000, 2,000 people. If we can bring the right energy and the right information and the right environment, I feel like we can reach almost any boy who we want to, any guy who's going through something, any guy who knows he wants to be somewhere else, he doesn't know what to do. And it's kind of like, wow, like what can we do to reach as many boys as possible? And then that's where it kind of went from small boys camp, localized, to
online ourselves.
Yeah, I mean,
and then to like, oh shit, hold up, handbrake the shit out of this business. We got some work to get done.
Well, that's right. And it moved into looking at, we obviously still understand the importance of keeping things local. So we want to still implement that by running events and men's sessions and really bringing a physical element, getting guys together. But obviously online we can reach so many more people. And now it's like, okay, well, we're going to be looking at traveling, we're going to be looking at developing an app, we're going to be looking at going online, bringing as much value as we can in every area that we can, and don't stop until we do that.
Like, we're all on the same wavelength when it's like we got a phone case on the way. It's like, be the change, because there's something that hasn't been implemented, and it clearly goes to show that boys find it hard to have conversations and be vulnerable around each other. But in actual fact, the vulnerability is the way forward and how to progress forward. And we're not going to stop until this is a worldwide movement. We're not going to stop. And you know what's really exciting? As we've developed this business, we've been obviously more aware to the boys' movements or clubs and walks and talks and places that are popping up, more so around Australia, because we're more familiar. But man, we want to link. We want to link these boys' clubs together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's movement. Absolutely. We don't want to have scatteredness. We want to be the link that links it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, everyone, it makes sense. Everyone we've spoken to, generally older people, it's like they've got kids, they've got nephews, they've got family friends who they know and who are young guys who have gone through something. They're like, that's exactly what they need. And but I really want to move on to sort of who we are, where we came from, and why we're each doing this. Because obviously it's at the moment we've got no money behind the business. We've all got our own thing that we're doing. We're very fortunate to do that. But I mean, I'm ready to crush this thing whether I get paid or not. So for me personally, I mean, as I was saying before, I started photography about over 10 years ago. I was about 13, 14 at the time. And I'm excited because we're gonna do deep dives into each of our stories, which will come later in the year. But that's all I've ever known. It's what I grew up with. I've been a creative, but then really diving into personal development about 4 years ago. I started. That was kind of like a self-development hobby, and I didn't think there was any kind of way to make money from it. So I never even thought about it. Never came into my mind. And then having that conversation at Guzman, I was kind of like, fuck, this is different. It's actually super scary because it's polar opposite to what I'm doing right now. I don't know how I would be able to make money from it. I don't know how I'd be able to sustain it. I don't know what value I could bring. Then as I started to dive in, I was like, shit. Like for me, I go out on the town, I get pissed, do whatever. For me, a good night is coming home after 2 or 3 conversations, whether it is with a dude or whether it's not, good conversations with someone where I've sat down with them and they've completely opened up to me. I'm just like, okay, that was one of the best nights I've had in a long time. And so for me, that's what I kind of go out for. And when I realized that that's really what lights that fire inside, I'm kind of like, well, why am I still doing what I'm doing? Why aren't I pursuing this? It kind of just all makes sense. And then you kind of, you focus your energy on what you can bring, and the more questions you ask yourself, it's kind of, okay, well, shit, I know that. And I remember having conversations with people who I give a piece of advice I learned probably 5 years ago, and they're like, it's just like an epiphany for them. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's really interesting. You kind of forget how much value you bring, how much value everyone brings as a whole, but ultimately how much value you can bring and how many people you can leave a message with, which is really, really powerful. And then obviously over time, we've developed a way to be able to build a business around it. And so, for everyone listening, I want everyone to know that each of us, obviously we're trying to build a business. The more money we make, the more impact we can have. So that's the big driving force for us from a monetary sense. But we, regardless of if we get paid in the initial stages or not, we just want to reach as many people as possible. And
get this thing off the ground.
Yeah, and it's not about making money at the start. It's about making a change and just having those conversations where we're like, fuck, like I wish I could just do that all day. But oh shit, I got to pay rent, so we're gonna make something
fine
work.
Balance, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess my reasons, I'll peel it back, like from going out to school to being lost, and from being lost to taking the next step in the direction in running a business called DMR, which we are in right now, and absolutely love, and it's a huge passion of mine. But then finding that next step, and there's been so many life lessons that I've thrown myself in the fucking deep end over the last 4 or 5 years. But when you get thrown in deep end, you learn so much. And I've learned so much, which I'm really, really excited to be able to break down some stories and some really hard times that my family and I've personally gone through throughout the years. Some of you may know, but yeah, I'm really keen to open up about them in a podcast to come. But I guess why I'm doing this is because, and I've had these messages, and obviously you boys know, but I've had a few messages, and we went away all of us went away to Nelson Bay for the weekend to break down the business because we thought we can put ourselves out of our environment. And coming out, we went out one night, and I had this it was like this click or this connection. I was like looking at him, I was very interested with this one guy, and then he ended up following me on social media, and then it became like 3 or 4 months later, and I'm someone that posts some content, whether it be 3 or 4 times a week, tried to do daily, whether it be on the story, but he ended up sending me a DM saying, mate, your I guess, thought process and your message has helped me through so much. And that butterfly, like that huge sense of like just fulfillment, this huge sense of like energy just came through me, and then the more and more and more and more and more we developed, we saw the potential of this business, and I love business and I love creating that. So really, really, really keen to know that we left a mark and a dent on the world, and we've created something that will forever live on beyond us, and it will change everything.
And it's so funny too, because that guy, I remember having conversations with that dude that night, and this dude was showing us videos of him like
throwing a chicken around and shit.
Playing footy with chickens. Like he's a chicken farmer. They were drunk as all hell. It was this group of like 7 or 8 people. Like they were all just having the best time, but they were like 19, 20, 21, and they were huge. It's big dude. Last dude you would expect to take, or on the surface, like we didn't have any deep conversation with them, but after, it's going back, and they're sitting down and they're by themselves, and they're like, man, like they think about life. That's when you do. You don't, like when you're out with your mates, it's the last thing you think about a lot of the times. And this guy obviously followed Jared a lot and thought, changed him enough to reach out and go, you've changed my fucking life. And it's like on the surface, that dude was like, he couldn't give 2 fucks about personal development, taking a step forward, whatever. He was all about being with the boys, getting pissed. He said he was starting work 6 a.m. the next morning.
Boys find it hard to find that voice.
Sure.
And that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for. And it's going to be very... guys aren't going to change overnight. You're not going to want to speak to us overnight, but throughout everything that we do, everything that we post, everything that we provide, at any stage, we want guys to know that they can reach out. And there's multiple facets, there's multiple areas to this business that we're trying to achieve, multiple components. But ultimately, one of the biggest ones is getting guys just to open up and be not vulnerable, but speak your mind. And if something's going on, talk about it. So,
me. We touched on it a little bit before. Currently, personal trainer up at Impact. Just take it back to schooling. Went through St Edward's College at East Gosford. Pretty similar to Jared when I left school, which a lot of people are. That time frame of I was never locked in on something that I really wanted to do. Personal training was actually at the top of my list. At that time, I had a lot of self-doubt within myself and talked myself out of it. I thought, so many people do it, you're not going to be able to break through in that industry. So I decided to take a year off, did my own thing, went up to the mines in North Queensland, worked a lot of labouring gigs, that side of things. Progressed from there. I was like, I want to change it up again. Still unsure, but just ready to jump into something. I was like, it's better off doing something, trying it out. Real estate, worked that for a little bit over a year. Again, enjoyed it, enjoyed the experience. It wasn't in line with what I wanted to do though. I knew deep down I wanted to contribute in a deeper way, in a more meaningful way. Not taking anything away from real estate, just wasn't for me. So I decided to leave real estate. It was actually after a breakup with my ex at that time, and I had a bit of an epiphany moment. I said, you know what, fuck it, like you're so passionate about the fitness industry, you know your thing in that area, let's take it on. So as Jared touched on before, I started my business, and it was probably only like a month or two after that we caught up to start talking about BB, which obviously now progressed to Bridge the Gap. Since then, I've really honed in on what it is that I feel I'm good at and I feel I can contribute with, and the thing that lights me up. Right, so we moved on to starting these training camps, and coaching I love. Like, I love being able to help someone to get from one place to another, and we are now doing this on a deeper level, right? On more than just a surface level. So when we ran those first couple of boys sessions, and I still remember it, standing back at the end of one of the sessions, and the guys were just opening up to each other that they hadn't even met about shit they didn't want to talk about fucking 45 minutes ago, you know what I mean? And I was standing back, and I was really taken back by it. After that session, we then had that conversation on the phone when we called each other in the car, and we just went, fuck, we need to do something with this. Because again, for me, when I'm talking about why I'm doing this, it's actually a selfish reason, because it makes me feel fucking amazing. Like, I love it. Like, when I have a deep conversation with someone, or we can progress someone from, you know, maybe a shitty area of their life when they're feeling down, and we can make them feel better and get around each other as a team. That's the shit that makes me, really tick. So for me, that's a little bit about me, but we'll definitely dive into it when we do our one-on-ones.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like,
You'll notice that Cooney over a few podcasts has a couple of
he loves interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, everyone wants to open up, and providing that. And I think I want everyone also to know that we aren't like heroes. Like, that's what I was going to say. And we're not. We've gone through our stuff, and we have so much to learn. I'm the oldest, obviously the wisest, best looking, biggest.
Look the oldest, definitely.
Most heroic, even though I'm not. I'm definitely the most heroic of this business. But I mean, I'm 24, Jared's 23. Are you 23 or 22? 22. So yeah, which is interesting, because it actually does go the opposite way. Mitch is the biggest and I'm the smallest. But anyway, we want everyone to know we're speaking from our experiences, and we know we have a lot to offer. We also know we have a lot to learn, and we are speaking through our experiences, and we've seen what we can offer. We've seen how it's been able to change just a very small amount of people's lives for the better. And it's not complete transformations. It might be a small thing that they go away with and they're inspired by it, or it might be getting people to go from working 9 to 5 that they hate to pursuing what they want to do. And it's exactly what we've all done. So we've been through those transitions ourselves. But yeah, I think that's important. We're not perfect. No one is. But we're here to help in the best way that we can.
We're essentially, we're obviously looking for men. And, that phase, and there's a couple of transitions. And if we're literally just talking about pain points that we've had in our lives, pain points that we gather feedback from, questions from, data from these boys, and developing something that allows boys to go from where they are to where they want to be by providing, I guess, the little 1%ers in life that compound into huge stresses.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. And that's across the board. I mean, it might be your career, it might be your own personal development, self-development, spirituality, whatever it might be, finances, health, relationships, and obviously through the podcast, the main purpose of the podcast is to interview guys who have also been through that. And we've already pumped out, before recording this, 10 or 11, this is our 11th, and we have so many more people to dive through, and some of them focus on
15.
business already, and that's so yeah, we're going to be releasing them very, very regularly, but yeah, like Jared said, we are here for young men, not specific to any age, but I mean, really we're targeting guys from 16 through to their late 20s, because we feel that is the place where we can most relate to those particular guys, and that's where a lot of change happens. So you're coming out of school, you got to take life seriously, look at what you want to do, but also throughout your 20s, it's where you have probably your most fuck ups. Whether it's in your relationships, you're trying to work out what you're doing with your life, you want to go traveling, you have a lot of self-doubt at that age. Not to say that it doesn't happen in any other area of life, but we can definitely say through experience that coming into your 20s is no easy going, and it's very, very difficult for some guys, a lot more than others, but trauma comes from many different areas. So that's really who we're here for. And so if you're a young guy, doesn't matter what age you are, and you feel like you're at a place right now in any area of your life, and you want to be somewhere else, could be minuscule or it could be quite large, we're here for you. And so this podcast is for you. Our Facebook group, which is completely free, is for you. And we want to see ourselves getting into schools and into businesses and corporate. So if you work at a school, or you know a school very, very well, and you feel like that school can use a program which we'll be creating to benefit your school, your business, definitely reach out, because the more schools we can get into and the more men we can reach, the better it will be.
We've also created a very, very good, well put together guide that allows you to self-analyze where you are at the moment. It allows you to self-analyze in questions where you are. Very, very good guide to be able to sit down by yourself and look and, like I said, self-analyze where you are in your life right now to where you want to be, talking through everything to goals, putting things in place. This is a completely free guide where you guys can jump on. We're going to attach the link in the podcast.
Yeah, it's available at www.btgtoday.com.au, and we'll link it. We'll link it in the podcast. Yeah, it's very simple. It's not overcomplicated. I am a huge course enthusiast. I will buy courses, I will buy free programs, I will buy templates. And the one thing I hate is an overcomplicated goal setting journal or yearly planner or personal development thing. This guide is small, it's simple, it's basic, and it's something that you can follow and stand by, but still get incredibly clear on. And as Jared said, it's completely free. This actually is for everyone, but for the guys in particular, if you're at a place, if you're not sure what you're going to do this year or beyond, and you want something to help you, something to get you through it, a little spark. This could literally be the guide that you need to write down and work out what you want to do and take the necessary steps to achieve that, which is great. So again, www.btgtoday.com.au, link it in the podcast as well. Make sure you go and you grab that, because I'm amped for it.
Man, all it takes is those epiphany hits. All it takes is those little 1%ers that can completely change the course of the direction that you're heading in your life. And this could be the one missing link, and the first time that you can actually sit back and self-analyze where you are at this current point in your life and where you want to go to. And by downloading and grabbing this free, amazing guide, you'll be able to really look. It's like looking at yourself, write it down, look at yourself in the mirror, and you'll be able to see the direction of where you want to head. Because when you sit down by yourself and look at through this, you'll speak from heart. You're not going to go download something and put in time to be able to print something off or download it and look at it and not speak from heart. It would be pointless. Absolutely. So you're going to speak from heart, and every thought that you think, the deepest emotions that you think, put them down there, because they're the things that are going to propel you forward.
Absolutely. And when you do it, let us know. Touch base with us. Let us know what you thought about it. Give us that feedback.
Join the group and let the other boys know to jump on it if they.
And that's it. We've been, another area we've been getting great feedback on is the Facebook group that we've been running. So, another thing for you guys that are listening, if if you want to, and we would urge you to, of course, jump in our free Facebook group. We've got, updated content almost daily, different areas of life, self-motivation, training, of course, as well, talking from life experiences. Very interactive, guys get around each other. So we'll obviously link that as well.
Once you get that guide too, that'll link you, there'll be an email that gives you that guide. That'll also have the links on where you can follow us, find us, and make sure you do get into that Facebook group. But we're going to be focusing heavily on this year, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And if you give us shit for it, don't mock us until you try it, because that platform is incredibly powerful. I've actually taken away a lot from that platform from other people who are sharing their content. There's world-class psychologists on there. There's business experts. Gary Vee is massive on there. You've also got the funny dancing videos and the dog videos and the cat videos, but so does every platform. So we're going to be hanging out there a fair bit, sharing snippets from our podcast, sharing little snippets of what we're up to, piece of advice, whatever it might be, as well as Facebook, and that's it. That's it. And LinkedIn from a B2B perspective. If you'd like to get in contact through LinkedIn or connect with us, we're on there personally, but we're posting a lot of what's going on with Bridge the Gap as well. So next step for you listeners, do what we just told you. Jump on, grab a guide, follow us through social media. BTG Today is our Instagram, Bridge the Gap is our Facebook, and BTG Today is our TikTok, and Bridge the Gap you can find us on YouTube as well. But next step, keep in the loop. Join the email list, because we'll be releasing these very regularly. We're still trying to work out what days, but there'll be at least one a week, possibly even two. We're going to shape that out very soon. So jump on that, because if you're on our email list, you'll get all the podcasts straight to your inbox. And trust me, there are some incredibly powerful ones. And with that, as you're listening to this, we have just released our second episode, our first guest episode, which is with Nick Senham, who's a local barber. He's a father, he's a business owner, he's a videographer, he's a legend, and he has a fucking awesome story. A really, really, really powerful story coming from a lot of adversity growing up. He dives into his relationship with his father, which was very toxic, talks about being a father, running a business, and what he's been able to do with his life. And he's only, is he 25? 24. He's 24, so he's a tiny bit older than I am, and that guy is powerhouse. So with that,
you can access that probably right now. You can access that right now, and get onto that, give it a listen, and please, 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 from the bottom of our heart, and if you know at all that any boy that needs to hear this, jump on it, or needs to grab the guide or listen to the podcast, the best thing that you can do to your mate's life is to be able to propel them forward and just show them that you care. And by doing that, we would love if you can share this podcast, if you can take a screenshot of where you're at, where you're driving from, blah, blah, whatever it may be, share on your social media, and pass it on to a friend. Pass it on to a friend. One friend listening to this podcast is going to allow us to not only gather your feedback, but draw awareness to what we're trying to do here. And the more awareness that we get, the better experts we can come on, and we can be able to get the insight that you've given us to be able to make this podcast something that is television for you. That is television to your ears. There's music to your ears. It is the podcast that gives you the breath of fresh air. The podcast that knows that, you know what, there's other boys out there. You know what, there's people I can speak to. And that is what Bridge the Gap is all about. That is what the podcast is all about. Boys, thank you for being on the ride with me. To the boys listening, boys, just fucking embrace it. Soak it all up, enjoy it. We'd love to hear from you. Connect to us, jump out in our Facebook group, message us, whatever it may be. We'd love to hear from you.
Care for your mates, be there for your mates. Have a great fucking 2020.
Boom.